Well, Emmy fans, Creative Arts Emmys are just around the corner. The four biggest categories at those two ceremonies will be the four guest acting categories, which will be on Sunday night, September 15th. Here to help us give you some final predictions and analysis are almost all of our senior editors. We've got Marcus Dixon, Daniel Montgomery, Joyce Ng, and Susan Wazena, and I'm Chris Beecham. We're going to talk about all four of those categories today and tell you who we think is going to win. Do not listen to me because this is the worst set of things that I ever predict for any award show is the guest acting. I used to do really well, but lately not so much. Let's start out with drama guest actress. And I believe that's going to be, let's start with Daniel on that.
I am sort of in 50 different directions with this. The guest acting categories are so all over the place. I'm going with Felicia Rashad. I think the closest competitors are Cherry Jones and Jessica Lange. Cherry Jones because she's won before and they love The Handmaid's Tale, and they love The Handmaid's Tale in this category. Jessica Lange, they love her. She's already won for American Horror Story as both a supporting actress and a lead actress. Now she could win as a guest. So I feel like those are the closest. But honestly, I could make a case for even all of the other three in this category.
Mention who the others are.
That's Carice Van Houten for Game of Thrones, Cicely Tyson for How to Get Away with Murder, and Laverne Cox for Orange is the New Black. Carice Van Houten would be interesting, because Game of Thrones almost never wins acting awards. Peter Dinklage is the only one who's ever won. But I wonder if we might see one of those completely anomalous last season sweeps and just Game of Thrones will just start winning everything it never won before. But I'm not too confident that would happen here. It could. But yeah, this could go any number of ways. I think Felicia Rashad is overdue. And This Is Us wins acting awards every year, and it has the second most acting nominations, I think, this year for drama, just behind Game of Thrones. So the acting branch still likes it. So not confident, but I think it'll be Felicia.
Joyce, who do you have?
Yeah, Felicia as well, just for those same reasons. They love This Is Us actors. She'd be the first female This Is Us star to win. They've dominated the drama guest actor category. And most of their nominations, they've have 27 and 18 of them have been for acting. So I just feel like this could be a way of taking care of that show. And I feel like early on there was a lot of heat on Cherry Jones possibly winning for Handmaid's, but I feel like that's kind of died down. And with Carice, last year everyone was on the Diana Rigg train and she didn't win. And I just feel like I'm not gonna predict her. If she wins, I'll maybe predict more Game of Thrones people. But like Daniel said, Peter Dinklage is the only one who's ever won, and I'd be more confident predicting a regular star from the show. The guest categories are so unpredictable, and I feel like Felicia just has more in her corner, and I don't really know if that many people know she's never won an Emmy before. That should have been her narrative, but I don't know if that's been the buzz around her. But I just feel like the love for This Is Us actors could just push her over the edge.
Susan, who do you have?
Felicia Rashad, and I didn't watch the whole season, but I did watch this particular episode, and she was great. She was this very, successful mother with these ethics of, being an educator and all this, and then her daughter, who's married to Sterling King Brown, wants to go and pursue a career as a dance instructor. And it's a very relatable role. And plus, she was America's mom. She still is. Not the other guy, but
she's divorced.
Right. So I think, there is this feeling, and it's a good show for her to be on, in that company. And she worked very well. So, I enjoyed that episode a great deal. So I could see it happening. And, it's someone who hasn't been on Cherry Jones or Jessica Lange on those shows before. So this is a special opportunity to give her something.
Marcus, you agree?
Yeah, I have her number one. The thing I'm hesitant about is that in this category in particular, they love kind of supporting roles. They love people like Samira Wiley, Alexis Bledel, Margot Martindale, Allison Janney, people that are in a lot of episodes. And she was only in the
time Margot Martindale just sipped coffee. So
both times she just sipped coffee, but she had been on the show previously as more of a regular, semi-regular star.
Right, and that's kind of what they've been doing in these guest categories lately. And Felicia's only in the one. I still think the overdue narrative is enough to push her over the top. But I mean, I could see Jessica Lange win, and Carice and Cherry. The two I can't see winning. Laverne Cox, I mean, this is her third, fourth nomination. So I don't know why now she would win if she hasn't won already. And Cicely Tyson doesn't even know she's nominated. So I'm counting her out.
Well, I will make the case for Laverne Cox. It would be sort of an unusual win, but we've seen those happen. Like, the show's been on for years. Why would they win now? Sort of like a Peter Scolari for girls. He wasn't even nominated originally. But Laverne Cox, I feel like the year of Pose, the possibility of her being the first, even though she's not on Pose, the possibility of her being the first openly transgender actress to win an Emmy would be kind of a big deal. And the show just ended this season, so maybe there's some lingering sentiment there. But I agree, she's sort of low in my predictions, but I think there's room for her. Like it could.
Emmy voters may think they're voting for the final season, even though they're not. I mean, the final season will be eligible next year, so that you're right, that could help her.
I also feel like they just don't care about Orange anymore ever since they made it Go Drama.
Yeah.
Well, I will bring up somebody that did this very thing, nominated year after year after year after year on a show nobody was really, wasn't an Emmy favorite beyond that, and that was Joan Cusack. So, sometimes you do win on that third, fourth, fifth nomination, especially, in any given category. Matthew Rhys last year, winning his last chance. I've got Felicia too, so boy, people, we're all on the same person.
We're all going to sink on the same boat.
Be close. I think.
Well, she is number one in our odds overall, so.
Jessica?
No, Felicia. So
okay.
We're not like crazy or anything.
We're agreeing with that too. The thing that pushes Felicia past Jessica for me is last year, we're under these new rules as of just, 3 years ago. So we're still learning. 15 out of 16 acting winners last year were on series nominees. And the only one that wasn't was Regina King. Jessica Lange's not in a series nominee. I know somebody's going to do it this year, maybe two people, but that's going to be about it, one or two. I've already got Ben Whishaw winning the following week. So that's my one. That's not in a series nominee. If I start picking other ones, it's just like throwing darts. They like what they like in terms of series, and so that's why I think being in This Is Us as being a drama series nominee helps Felicia Rashad.
It's her and Carice for Game of Thrones. Those are the only two series nominees.
Well,
no, I will say that if it had been eligible, Handmaid's Tale would have gotten it.
That one's kind of got an asterisk. But
it
got
does.
So many nominations, it would have been in drama series. Well, let's do drama guest actor, and we'll start with Marcus on that one.
Well, see, this one's interesting because... Okay, so we have Bradley Whitford for The Handmaid's Tale, Michael McKean for Better Call Saul, Ron Cephas-Jones, he won last year for This Is Us, and now he's up again. Michael Angarano, did I pronounce that right? For This Is Us, Glenn Turman for How to Get Away with Murder, and then Kumail Nanjiani for The Twilight Zone. And I have been rooting for Michael McKean to get a nomination for 4 years. It finally happened. Now that they killed him off, now he's a guest star. But I just think Bradley Whitford is so strong in The Handmaid's Tale. And he's nominated for his guest starring role last year. But while voting was going on, he's been promoted to a supporting actor. And he was in basically every episode of season 3, which was airing as they were voting. That's really, really going to help him. And he's playing this character that's half villain, half hero. It's a very complicated character. And the Emmy voters love that type of thing. So I'm going with Bradley.
Susan, let's go to you next.
I will say I don't know much about this category because I haven't really watched these shows intently. But Bradley Whitford sort of seems to me more of a TV actor than, I know Kumail is fine and Michael McKean I like, but I just never really. I've seen Ron Cephas Jones, but not in this season. So basically, I didn't do my homework, and I'm sorry. The dog ate it, but
I'm going Bradley.
I'm going with Bradley.
Joyce, is there something interesting about if Bradley were to win? I think you did a story.
Yeah, he'd be the first to win both drama guest actor and comedy guest actor because he won a few years ago for Transparent. So I have him winning too. I feel like what Marcus said is going to help him. Like he is basically a supporting character, or he is a supporting character this season, season 3 that was airing during voting. And he does have this very like sort of redemptive character arc on the show. So he's kind of like the most sympathetic of the commanders on the show. And he's Bradley Whitford. Like people love Josh Lyman and The West Wing. And so I personally would love to see Michael McKean win because he was
me too.
totally robbed for season 3 when he should have gone in for Better Call Saul. So I would love it if like he won for this like tiny guest spot. But I have Bradley winning.
Daniel?
Yeah, I have Bradley winning, but I've been so close to switching to Michael McKean because I feel like everything I've heard in this slugfest alone says, yeah, Bradley's winning, but I would give it to Michael McKean. But maybe a lot of people are going to vote for Michael McKean.
It's like the makeup win and guest.
The makeup win and guest, which just happened last year for Ron Cephas Jones. They killed him off. He was nominated in supporting. They killed him off. He came back as a guest, and he won as a guest. This year, I mean, Michael McKean never got the supporting nomination for Better Call Saul, but it could be that this could be one of those cases where the hardest thing is getting the nomination, and then you're finally in. And in, softer competition, like, in guest as opposed to supporting, which is a lot more crowded, like, I imagine that voters who are voting for this category are going to be considering not just the guest spot, but his work on the show up to this point.
Yeah. And Better Call Saul, it's overdue.
It's never won a single Emmy.
It has not won a single Emmy, which does give me pause, because it's like, it's the reason I'm not predicting a Game of Thrones, Carice Van Houten in drama guest actress is because Game of Thrones never wins an acting award, and Better Call Saul's never won anything up to this point. But I do think if there's a place it could win, it's right here and right now. So I'm predicting Bradley Whitford just because he has the track record. The Handmaid's Tale is beloved. The Actors Branch loves The Handmaid's Tale especially. So I think it's one of those two, but I think Michael McKean is so close that I'm very tempted to predict him.
I also feel like if Handmaid's hadn't done as well as it had with 11 nominations, then I would be more inclined to choose someone else like Michael.
I will say one of the weird, completely out of nowhere surprises I could see happening is Kumail Nanjiani. Because he's basically a show like The Twilight Zone. He is the lead actor in basically a movie in his episode of The Twilight Zone. And he's got this increased stature after his Oscar nomination for The Big Sick, and Silicon Valley is coming back for its last season, so TV people know him too. I could see this being one of those just completely out of nowhere, where did that come from surprises, just because Kumail Nanjiani has so much goodwill, and he probably has a bigger role than most of these other nominees. So that's one I would say watch out for that coming as a complete surprise.
With spare thought for Christine Baranski, because he's the first one to get an acting nomination for his CBS All Access.
I was about to say, I don't know that they've seen Twilight Zone, but that's a good thought. I've got Bradley Whitford too. I'm not even counting it toward my non-series nominee thing, because it would have easily gotten in a drama series had it been eligible. They did miracle work over there at Hulu to get these 11 off of, what do they call them? Abandoned episodes?
Orphan.
Great band name.
They like Bradley.
It's the second most nominated drama series. I love that. For like 3 episodes.
The other 3 categories are giving me migraines trying to figure out. This one, once I thought about it, I need as many categories where, even if I'm wrong, I didn't have to think about them too much.
And it'll be interesting. Like, like Felicia Rashad on This Is Us, Bradley Whitford would be the first actor of his gender to win for this particular show.
Yeah, and the previous ones were all in guests too.
You know, the other thing about him, not only did he have Handmaid's new season airing while they were voting, but NBC's been promoting his new comedy
Perfect
series
Harmony.
like crazy.
Yeah.
So he's been all over the television.
Why are we all underestimating Ron Cephas Jones, though? He just won last year, and a huge surprise, I would say. So I think we should give him, another thought.
He could.
I think it's possible. I think because he won last year, I don't know if there's going to be as much enthusiasm to give it to him, and having Michael Angarano, I feel like might pull some support from him because Michael Angarano was involved in such a high-profile storyline with, Milo Ventimiglia in Vietnam, and so I feel like that could split votes more than it did last year, because Ron Cephas Jones was against Gerald McCraney last year, and Gerald McCraney had just won, so they gave it to Ron instead when it looked like they could just go back to.
A lot of people thought Gerald would defend last year.
Yeah, I think I did
too. Had one scene. I think if Felicia does turn out that she wins, I don't see them giving two This Is Us guest star. If you've got that ballot in front of you, I think you're maybe you're going to give one to This Is Us and one to something else. I don't. When I watch it be that they do that, but it's Ron that gets This Is Us win and Jessica Lange gets All right, let's talk about comedy guest actress. I'm going to come to Susan first, but let me run down the nominees. We have two from SNL, Sandra Oh, Emma Thompson. We've got Maya Rudolph, returning from last year, The Good Place. Jane Lynch, also from last year, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And two from Fleabag, Kristen Scott Thomas and Fiona Shaw. So, Susan?
Well, I'm going with Jane Lynch because she lost last year to Tiffany Haddish for her SNL stint. And she actually did a lot more on this season, and she was crucial in many ways to what happened to Mrs. Maisel. And she helped her because that's why she's going in Miami. But it's an interesting role in that she's actually two people. She's pretending to be this kind of hick comedian who makes fun of herself, but then when you see her in real life, she has a whole nother role. So actually it's two roles in one. So just for that, I think, and plus they like her. I mean, she's won before. And I think, this time it's a more substantial, role. So in that way. And plus she works well with the other people. I mean, she brings out the best in all the actors that she comes in contact, especially Alex Bornstein. Her work was quite a pairing. So that's why I would go for that. And then the others, I mean, Sandra Oh, she's already got another nomination, right? At least one.
She has three others.
Four? Five? Four? Okay, well, she ain't going to take all those, right? So I think this one might be the least of it. So, and Emma Thompson was good on her Mother's Day special thing, but I think maybe the Fleabag people will. And Fiona Shaw has another nomination too for Killing Eve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think she has another chance there, and I just think Fiona Shaw and Chris, they were both very good, but I still think Jane Lynch had a more substantial, contribution to her show.
Joyce?
This one is where I'm going out on a limb for Kristen Scott Thomas. I'm kind of discounting Fiona Shaw here because she just has like a really small part on Fleabag, and I feel like she probably has a better chance of winning in supporting for Killing Eve. But Kristen had this really great monologue about menopause in her episode, and it's like almost 5 minutes long. It's this really great interaction with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and it got a lot of high praise. And that's like her big moment in her episode. So and there's so much love for Fleabag that I feel like this is a good place, even if it doesn't win any other ones at the main ceremony. Like, this would be a good place to recognize it. I'm kind of feeling like she could be the Katt Williams this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. I've got Jane Lynch. I'm playing it safe, but I do have Kristen Scott Thomas ranked second. I think voters clearly watched Fleabag because of all the nominations it got. They got in Sean Clifford, they got in Kristen and Fiona here. So given that they've watched it, I don't think it's a choice. I feel like, if they're going to pick a Fleabag actress, it would be Kristen Scott Thomas.
Yeah. And it's Kristen Scott Thomas.
Yeah, Kristen Scott Thomas. She's a big, Oscar-nominated movie star in a really big showcase role. You mentioned Katt Williams. I was thinking about Katt Williams. Another one I was thinking of was Melissa Leo and Louis. It's the similar kind of, this is a big showcase role for a well-known star. So I think it's those two, 1 and 2, unless, they want to just back the truck up to Sandra Oh for SNL. I don't think they would reward her there for it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah. I think back to like John Hamm when like he was nominated for Kimmy Schmidt and the last season of Mad Men, and like, some people thought he would get 2, or maybe like he would get for Kimmy Schmidt, but not in drama actor, but they just gave it to him for the main show and not his guest spot.
Yeah, the other one I think of could be one of your kind of Katt Williams surprises is Maya Rudolph. She's beloved. She's been nominated before last year for this role. She was nominated for SNL for guest hosting. She's never won an Emmy. I could see this being kind of a place where she could upset, especially since The Good Place is bigger this year than it has been before.
Okay.
If I was a voter, I would vote for Maya Rudolph if I was a voter, but I don't know if she gives a good, not good enough, but a broad enough performance. She's basically playing herself in a judge's robe. And I don't know if the judges are going to go for that. I think everything Susan said about Jane Lynch is true. Like, she gives the physical transformation. She's kind of a villainish role, kind of like Bradley Whitford, but she also has her heroic moments. And I'm usually against people winning over and over and over. Like, she just won for dropping the soap and Hollywood Game Night and Glee. But I think this is such a departure for her that I would be okay with her winning yet again. As for the SNL ladies, I think that's going to be a vote split. I think, who do you vote for? Emma Thompson, we haven't really talked about, but she did such a good job. She made me laugh out loud in some of her sketches. Sandra Oh is so popular right now that I could see her winning too. I think that's going to hurt both of them. I feel bad for Sandra because she's going to get vote split in both of her acting categories. From a co-star, but you're all convincing me about Kristen Scott Thomas. I'm going to put her a little bit higher on my list.
I have Sandra Oh, but by the time people see this video, I think my feeling on Sandra Oh was she's had such a good year. I don't think she's going to win Drama Actress, unfortunately. I know everybody thinks so, but it's that true vote split where people don't know what to do and they only get to mark one name. I just wonder if they might mark her here. Because she's not going to win for the Golden Globes and she's not going to win Killing Eve on Drama Series. So this is the only place other than Drama Actress that she could win this year. But I had been, even before Joyce said this, I had been thinking about this Kristen Scott Thomas thing. Joyce often wins our contest, so I'm thinking about
You can risk it on one of these categories.
Well, she does fit often at the Emmys. We've talked about, and I know Emma Thompson's here too. But if
Emma's also won this category before for Ellen.
What's about film people, at the in TV awards? Oftentimes, those Oscar winners, Oscar nominees will win, and the more I think about it, it was a long time ago, but she is an Oscar-nominated actress. Has been in a ton of films, and anyway, I may by the time you see this video, I may have switched over to Kristen Scott. I don't know about Jane Lynch. It would not bother me at all. She loves Gold Derby. We love her. I just wonder about she didn't win last year, so why this year? Why not next year? I don't know. That one. And Maya Rudolph, I'm going to believe a Good Place win when I see it.
I feel like if Maya wins, it would just be because she's Maya Rudolph and not because.
I know, but we've had a lot of shows that never won an Emmy. We just talked about Better Call Saul. Some shows just never win an Emmy.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt never won an Emmy.
This is the first year they've really acknowledged Good Place at any higher level. So, well, let's do comedy guest actor. We're going to lead off with Marcus there. I'll run down the nominees. Speaking of SNL, you've got Matt Damon, Robert De Niro, John Mulaney, and Adam Sandler. Then you've also got vote split possibilities, Luke Kirby and Rufus Sewell on Maisel. And the only one without a vote split is Peter McNichol.
I don't even know where to begin with this category. Like, when I'll start with Matt Damon. When he came on in the season premiere as Justice Kavanaugh, he was the talk of the town. Everyone was sharing that video, and I think we all said, "Oh, he's going to win, best comedy guest actor at the Emmys." And then they brought him back for the Christmas episode, and he hosted, and he brought the character back again. But then Adam Sandler came out. Yeah. Then Adam Sandler came out and he did the whole Chris Farley tribute. And I'm like, oh, forget Matt Damon. Adam Sandler's got it. John Mulaney has a ton of fans out there. He could win. I mean, I hate saying vote split again, but who are they going to pick between these SNL guys? So I have Peter McNichol kind of by default. Remember 3 years ago he was nominated, but he got his nomination yanked away from him. So this would be very nice poetic justice for him to win in the final season. I will say his episode submission is the second to last episode. He has less than a minute of screen time. So if they're just watching that one episode, he doesn't pop up till the very end, and then he's there and he's gone. So I wonder if that could hurt him, but I'm just going all in for Peter.
Daniel?
I've been going with John Mulaney. I think since we opened the Prediction Center for nominations, because I feel like he had such a buzzy episode of SNL, and because he won in a surprise for writing for his stand-up special last year, the year before. So there is a lot of love for him. Saturday Night Live is interesting because vote splitting, I don't know if it works the same way when you have, these actors are not competing against each other per se, because they're all performing on different shows basically. So I'm not sure if the same thing applies. And for Maisel, I'm actually thinking Rufus Sewell was probably the nomination as the reward. I really look at Luke Kirby as the potential surprise here. He's been on the show for 2 seasons. He's playing a well-known character, Lenny Bruce, a legendary comedian. Anyone on the TV Academy who watched Rectify and wants to rectify not nominating that show for anything could give one of its alums a nod here. But I've got him in third. I think I've got Mulaney in first, just on that hunch. And McNichol, I might eventually chicken out and just go with the consensus of McNichol, just because he's really got kind of the straight path with no one else on the show competing against him.
Susan.
Well, I listen to all you because you know more than me, but so I have Peter McNichol on top. If I went with my heart, I would too go with Luke Kirby, because I'm old enough to have seen Lenny in a theater, and it's one of Dustin Hoffman's performances I did not like. And I think this kind of saves Lenny Bruce's, the portrait of him. He's not totally a drug addict, right? It's early in his career, and it's a different, more thoughtful Lenny Bruce. You see where his thinking comes from. And he also really shone on the last episode of the season. And he sang a real song that Lenny Bruce sang on the Steve Allen show. And it was very moving. So, and he's a thoughtful Lenny Bruce. He hasn't gone off to the deep end yet. So I like that. And yes, I did watch Rectify. So I've loved him since then. That was like this special series that my friend told me about that I didn't even know existed. And so if if I voted with my heart, I would pick him. But I don't want to lose another, category. It's not like I can help him win at this point, but
I think it could happen. But I do have him ranked third. I'm not going to predict him to win.
Well, that's where I have him too, and I have John Mulaney third or second.
Yeah. And I just want to be on record in case a surprise happens, so someone could look back and go, like, I was wrong, but I was almost right.
Right. But, does Adam Sandler, Matt Damon, Robert De Niro really need an Emmy? I don't know. It's like they have money. Well, they don't have one, but, they have other things going on.
Joyce, I've been all over the place on this one, so you convinced me here at the end.
I have John Mulaney for, again, a lot of the reasons Daniel said. Like, he won last year for Variety writing. His episode was one of the best of the season. He's a former writer. He's just kind of hot and liked right now. And I feel like Daniel said, like, vote splitting isn't really that big of a factor with SNL, at least, because there's been cases where, like Dave Chappelle beat two other SNL people, like Lin-Manuel Miranda and Tom Hanks. So, and yeah, like I feel like Adam Sandler's is just the Chris Farley song, which I guess, if you're really like sympathetic towards that, you might go for it. And I don't know how many people remember Matt being Brett Kavanaugh from last year.
Do.
But I actually remember more of his like Christmas monologue about his dad, which was really heartfelt and sad. And Robert De Niro, like, this is just a thirsty nod because he didn't get him last year. And like he'll probably win limited series for When They See Us, but he's the first SNL person to be nominated to not be a host, because all the previous ones have been hosts. And I also have Luke Kirby. I have Luke Kirby in third and Peter Mcnichol in second. But I guess I'm sort of playing it safe with an SNL person, even though there's four of them, because there's only been 2 years where SNL did not win either guest category in 2013 and 2015. So chances are it'll win at least one of them. So since I'm not picking any of the ladies, I'm going to pick a dude, and that dude is John Mulaney.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I switched to John Mulaney last night. I said before, you do really well, better than anybody else on our team. So my feeling, both of you said basically everything I was going to say. I do remember 2 years ago, if I'm getting my order of things right, I looked at the SNL people and I thought, oh, Tom Hanks, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Dave Chappelle, how would they choose between the three of them? I'll go Martin Mull on Veep. So we got the same situation, and the people that have been winning this category are stand-up comedians lately. Katt Williams, isn't he a stand-up? I know he didn't win for SNL, but he won last year. Dave Chappelle won the year before. I know Adam Sandler is a stand-up too, sort of. He's way more movies now than stand-up. But I think it just feels right to me on John Mulaney. There's something going on with him in the industry right now. Kind of like, hopefully not in a bad way, like I'm about to say, but like when Louis C.K. would just win every year for a little while, he was the hottest thing going. And
just keep your nose clean, John Mulaney.
But anyway, that feels right to me, and I'm going off of knowledge that I had from 2 years ago when I thought the exact same thing about SNL canceling itself out and Martin Mull being the only Veep nominee. And Martin Mull had an episode. I mean, it wasn't like Peter Mcnichol here, where it's, Martin Mull, they built a episode kind of around him for that.
Was he nominated? It was Hugh Laurie.
Maybe Martin Mull was the year before. He's been nominated.
Yeah, I don't think he was 2 years ago. Because 2 years ago was Hugh Laurie. Everyone was thinking who was going to win.
And then Hugh Laurie was way overdue too. So I thought,
yeah,
but you haven't brought up it's the last season
of Veep.
Yeah,
but I mean, the only actors from Veep who've won are Julia and Tony Hale.
Okay,
it's kind of like Game of Thrones.
If voters want to say,
go ahead, Daniel.
And I was going to say, if voters want to say goodbye to Veep, chances are, like, they'll do that with Julia. If they want to vote for Peter McNichol, they'll vote for Peter McNichol. But I don't think they won't do that as like a farewell to Veep. I don't think.
Yeah.
The only other thing I was going to say about Matt Damon, when that first the premiere aired, Marcus and I were talking. We thought, who is going to come along this year and beat that? If it was the old days where guest stars got their episode scenes, just their scenes edited together in one reel, he'd be winning because he would have that 15-minute opening plus just the scenes he hosted for the Christmas episode. But I don't know that they are going to remember every detail about.
Yeah, like Joyce said. I mean, it was a long time ago, so maybe
a year ago.
He was great, but I just like he's not been like a consistent presence like Alec and Trump, So I don't. I mean, like I thought he was great in his episode as well, but I feel like John Mulaney is just more associated with SNL in general. Then you might just go with him if you're going to pick an SNL person.
Well,
he's like the male Tina Fey.
Everybody jump in and make your predictions. We've got a creative arts event that has quite a few categories. That's for this coming weekend. And then, of course, we have the primetime event. That's a totally separate. You could win both. You could win some prize money on both for primetime Emmys as well as creative arts Emmys. You can predict Oscar nominations, Grammy nominations, CMA awards. There's a lot of things in the prediction center right now. Marcus would like for me to say reality shows. You can. So thank you for watching. We'll have some more Slugfest on primetime categories, and we'll see you again soon.